Hello everyone, this is Burak Güzel and welcome to CodeIgniter from Scratch, day number 9. Today we're going to cover two subjects. First, we're going to look at file uploading and then image manipulation. Um, and we're going to build a simple image gallery where we have thumbnails of images and an upload form to upload our images. So let's just start with a fresh install of CodeIgniter just by going to codeigniter.com and downloading it. And once you extract it, just open it in your favorite text editor. And I took out the application folder out of the system folder and I deleted the user guide folder, and that's the only changes I've done. And now we're going to start setting it up by going to the config folder and setting the base URL. In my web server, I'm using this URL, and next thing I'm going to open the auto load configuration, and I like to load the URL helper, the form helper, and let's also auto load the file helper. As you may know, these are going to be available in everywhere in our application now that we auto loaded from this configuration file. Okay, let's get rid of this and let's see if everything is running. I'm going to refresh. Yes, so if I go to localhost CI series index.php, that's where my files are, and that's where what my URL is, and you should just see the welcome page. And let's get started with building our gallery. So I guess maybe we can start with building the view file first. So go into the views folder and create a PHP file named gallery.php. Now this is going to be like an HTML template, as you know. Um, so let's just create a blank HTML template to use. Maybe give it a title such as CI gallery. Alright, and I'm going to have two divs here. First one I want to use for the gallery. This is for displaying the images and thumbnails, and the second one will be my upload form. So let's just give it an ID of upload, and let's start building the upload form first. We are going to be using the form helper functions, and when doing normally when you create a form, you might do something like form open, but if you're going to be doing a file upload within this form, you actually need to open it with this function instead. It's called form open multipart, and this is the controller is going to post to. So let's say we're going to have a controller named gallery, and let's look at, well, we don't have the controller yet. So let's create a controller so we can load the page and see what it looks like. Okay, as I said, it's going to be a gallery, and in controllers, as you remember, we create the class same name as the file name and should be capitalized and extends the controller class. In this controller, I'm just going to use the index page for now. We're not going to use many pages. And in this index page, which is this index will be loaded as soon as we go to /gallery. And here I want to load the gallery view that we just created in the views folder. So we just do this, load view gallery, and if I go to this page, and it's all empty because there's nothing visible on the page. But if you look at the source code, you'll see that the form open multipart created this HTML code, which is a little different than regular form open because it includes this encoding type of multi-part form data. This is required for doing file uploads through a browser. So let's go back and start putting more stuff in the view. For example, the next thing we want to have is the upload input field. So form upload function will create that for us, and a default name to use is user file. The reason I'm putting user file is the file upload library is expecting this name by default, but you can change it to something else if you want and change the configuration when you're loading the file upload library, but by default just using this is the easiest way. And just need a submit form to go with this, and I'm going to call this input name upload and have a value of also upload, and finally close the form. So if we look at this page, we're going to see our input field, and okay, this is a little too big. My images are right here. Okay, so I'm going to be selecting images from this folder and uploading them like that, and then hit upload. Well, nothing happens yet because we're not handling the upload. So this just created a basic form upload, file upload form for us. And let's start working on handling the file upload. So let's go to our controller, and so here's the thing: when we post to the gallery controller, so we're using the same controller for loading the page and also for handling the posted form. So we're viewing the same page. We don't have to go to a different controller function and whatnot. So it's going to come to this same function again, and to check that we received the upload, I'm going to check this form field that I named upload, which is the submit button. So I'm going to expect an input post of upload. So if that is the case, then we received an upload, and then after handling it, we can still load the page just as usual. So there's this idea about using PHP frameworks, where it's a best practice rather to have skinny controllers and fat models, which means avoid putting too much code in a controller and let the models handle most of the work. So instead of putting a bunch of code in this section here, I'm going to, for example, have a gallery model handle the upload. So of course we're going to have to create this model later on, and once we create it we also have to load it here so we can use it by going this load model and gallery model. Alright, so the file, the form is submitted, comes here, and it calls a method inside this gallery model class. And so let's just create that model. All right, and as you know, this is going to be a class with the same name. Actually, the file name should be lowercase, like that. Oops, it's unsaved. Okay, let me save it and rename it. Okay, it's going to be lowercase, but the class name is uppercase, and extends the model class. All right. So in this model class, we're going to let's see. We're going to do method called doUpload, which will handle the uploading. Okay, now when loading the upload library, well, it's easy. You just do this load library as usual, just like any other library. But there's also a second parameter that we can pass, which like for example, there will be certain options like where the file is going to go to. So we're going to have it in an array called config. So let's create that array. Um, Okay. Now the library expects a config option called allowed types. This is required. So it's like a security feature because we don't want any kind of files to be uploaded. Like we don't want some executable file or something that doesn't belong. So if this is an image upload script, we want to limit it to like JPEG with both formats and GIFs and also maybe PNG. Um, and we also want to provide where it's going to go to. The uploaded file is going to be saved somewhere. So that's going to be passed as the upload path. And instead of typing the path here, for example, we can go like this, gallery path, which could be um, you know, a member of this class. Um, so it's kind of gonna be like a config option here, and this should be like okay. Let's initialize this value in a constructor function. A constructor function is the same name as the class, and this gets called every time a model is loaded. So anytime we load the gallery model, this function is going to be called first. And you also are required to call the parent constructor, which is just reference it like this. This is required for CodeIgniter models and controllers if you're ever going to have a constructor function like this. And so the variable I wanted to initialize here was the gallery path, and it's going to be app path. So if you don't know about this constant, this is a constant, not a variable. It exists in CodeIgniter and it's accessible from everywhere. It's automatically set to the path of your application folder. And so let's say we're going to save our images to a images folder. So I can create a folder called images. No, I don't want it here. I want it out here. Okay, so I have an images folder, and it's not inside my applications folder. It's just right outside. So I want to have the path up to that folder here. Now having these dot dot inside the path may not be ideal. So there's a PHP function that kind of cleans that up and returns us the real full path to that folder. So I'm just going to enclose it in that. And now this variable or sort of a config option here is initialized, and then that can be passed to the config that we're going to pass to the upload library. So any file that gets uploaded should end up in that folder. So let's see. Okay, initializing it is not enough, obviously. So we have to actually perform the upload itself. So once we load the library like this, it's available to us by going like this upload. Now this is the loaded upload library, and we can call its functions. For example, calling the doUpload function just like that. So this will perform the upload operation where it just basically reads the uploaded file and saves it to the path you provided. And we can test it by going to this test page and hit upload. So it should show up in my images folder. So I refresh and it's right there. So it's working. So to review, what you need to do is have a config array which should have at least allowed types and upload path. You can also put other restrictions like maximum allowed size. We can see that in the user. If you go to user guide of CodeIgniter, you'll see in the file uploading class there are these config options. For example, max size would be the maximum size in kilobytes. So if you don't want images bigger than, let's say, 2 megabytes, you just pass 2000, and that will let you check for that. And next thing we're going to do is uh, since these uploaded files will be images and we want to create thumbnails, let's start using the image manipulation library. So I'm going to delete this file that's been uploaded, and inside my images folder I'm going to create a new folder named thumbs. So I want to, whenever a file is uploaded, I want to copy the image into this folder and create a thumbnail version of that image in the thumbs folder. So to do this, I'm going to load the image library, which is done by going like this: load library image lib. And just like the upload library, this also works with a config array. So let's just give this a config array again, but this will be a different one. So let's see. Okay, we need to pass the source image, which will be the full path to the image that is going to be processed. So we're going to read the uploaded image and then process it, as in creating a thumbnail. So the source image should be the path to the uploaded image. And to have the uploaded image's path, we need to fetch it from the upload library. So for example, here, right after the do upload call, I'm going to fetch the data using this upload data function. Now this returns an array which contains information about the upload process, and which includes, for example, the full path. So this array has a key named full path now, which is the full path to the uploaded file. And now we also need to pass the path to the new file. So it's going to be somewhere in the thumbs folder, where the thumbnail will be generated. So again, let's use this gallery path variable we created earlier. And append thumbs. So it's in the thumbs folder, the new file's location. And when resizing thumbnails, for example, you might want to maintain the aspect ratio. So we can pass that. That's one of the options of the image library, and just say true. And also we need to give obviously the new size of the image. So how big is it going to be? We're going to pass width and height. Let's say 150 and 150 by 100, for example. So I think that's all the options we're going to use this time. There are a few more options that you can use. If you go to the user guide, image manipulation class, there are a bunch of options that you can utilize. But I'm not going to go over each and every single one of them. So we're loading the library, so we need to perform the operation. And the operation we want to do is resize. And we're going to call the image library. It now exists under this image lib. It's the same name as the library. And call the resize function. So this is going to take the original image, save it as a new image under the path we gave and with the sizes we provided. So let's see. So I think this is ready to do a test. So let's pick another image, upload. All right, so refresh. Here we go. In images folder, I have the one image, and under thumbs folder, I have the thumbnail version of the image. Hopefully, let me open it. Well, it's a big window. Okay, as you see, this is the small image, and this is the big image. They were both saved, so it's working. So I'm going to delete this for now. So let's work on displaying our image gallery. So for example, if we go to our controller, we should get the images and pass it to our view so the view can load them. So let's say we're going to pass this in a data array, right? So in a data array, we can say images and get the images. Again, I'm passing the obligation to, oops, to the model instead of writing the code in the controller. So I'm going to refer to the gallery model again and expect to have a function called get images. So as you see, the controller is very light, and this function is supposed to be in our model handling all that work. So we create that function. And this function should read the contents of the images folder. So files, and I like to use the scandir function. This is just a PHP function. It's not framework specific. And I'm going to pass that gallery path yet again. So this is why I said I didn't want to type the path every single time, because now we can just reference it and it's really easy to use. And this, when you use a scandir, it returns everything instead of including folders, and also returns dot and dot dot, those special folders. So I'm just going to clean them out with this PHP function from the, it just takes two arrays and calculates their difference. So I'm going to subtract, per se, these values out of this array. Now I'm going to have an images array and return it. So let's populate this array. I'm going to go for each for those files as file, and looping through them, I will append it to the images array, and each one will be an array itself, because we need to pass both the URL of the image and the URL of the thumbnail to the, finally to the view, but first to the controller, which passes it to the view. So I want to have two pieces of information. That's why I made it an array. So the URL should be the gallery path again. Well, no, actually, we should use URL version of the gallery path. So let's create a gallery path URL variable here, and let's initialize it again in our constructor. So let's use the base URL slash images. So to link to the images folder, so that should work. Wait a second, actually that's going to, the base URL will include like index.php in the URL. So let's just create the htaccess file real quick. I think this was shown in a different screencast. what this does is just remove .index.php from your URLs, and I'm going to copy paste this code. Okay, right here. So I'm just using mod rewrite to get rid of index.php. You can find this code on the CodeIgniter website too. It just basically, if it's not a file or directory, redirects to your path to your CodeIgniter folder / index.php. If it is a file or directory, it's untouched. So when I do that, I can go ahead and go into my config folder and just remove index.php from the index page configuration. So for example, in here, I can do it like this. That works, and this should also work. Yes. So index.php is gone from our URLs, which is nice. Okay, where were we? Okay, the URL. So this base URL / images should work. And so this is going to, the URL of each image will be gallery path URL and the file name. This already has a / at the end, so I'm not putting it again. And the thumb URL will be similarly this whole thing, but there will be thumbs in the middle here. Oops. All right. And this looks complete. I think that's it. So get images is done. It's going to give us the images. We're going to pass it to our view, and in our view, let's put it in the gallery. Gallery, we're going to open PHP. Actually, I'm going to use a short code. If first I'm going to create an empty state, which means that if there's nothing, output some sort of message. If images do something, else, and end if. Let's put a blank gallery kind of message here, saying, let's say, please upload an image. Right? So if there's no image, then we should get that message. Well, do I have images? No. If it's set and images like that. All right. So we get the message if there's nothing, and if there is something, I'm going to remove this. For example, we're going to you don't want for each images as image, and this should have and for each. Right. So let's say we have a div with a class of thumb. Instead of ID, I gotta use a class. Later on, I'm going to style these. So right now it's kind of all bland, but so it's a thumbnail which links to the main image. So it's an A tag, and there's an image tag. So the A tag's value would be, I'm going to separate these to different lines. So the A tags, the link's URL will be the image URL since we passed from the model, we passed the image URL, which got passed to the controller, which got passed to the view, which is in the images array, which we're looping through, and then each image has that URL, so we can put it in the link here, and also image source will be the thumb URL. So similarly, I'm going to copy paste this from here, and instead of URL, it's going to be thumb URL. All right. So I think that's it. We can actually upload something, and there it is, the thumbnail. So when you click, you get the full image, and if I say like view image, see the URL to the thumbnail. So there are two separate files, and I can add more, and they should show up. Let's see if we can make this look a little nicer. I'm going to add the style tag, and we have two boxes, the gallery and upload. So I want to give them both just like a little border and stuff. Like let's say border 1 pixel, solid, the gray color. This is the boring part, so you can fast forward if you want to. I'm going to just make it look a little gallery-like instead of that plain page look. Give it padding maybe. Also, the blank gallery would also have some styling. I know it's not a lot of fun to just watch me type, but it's going to be over just in 2 minutes. The thumb. So I'm going to style this thumb div, and I want to make it like float so that we can put the thumbnails side by side or in kind of a grid look. Let's float them to the left and set aside padding, margin, all the good stuff, and maybe a light background color like, I don't know, DDD. Also a little effect here, just hover. 1 pixel solid, that works. And I don't know why I need this, but I have to put this so I don't get these ugly borders on the images. So I refresh and it looks a little nicer. Okay. Now there's a problem with the floats not being contained. There's a kind of a hacky way of doing this with the pseudo element, the after element. I got this from the NetTuts website too. Jeff did this in another tutorial a while back. What this does is just make the problem is like this div here has these images, but they're not being contained because they're floated, so they're like coming out of it, because there has to be something else that's not floated so that they can stay. or the containing div, should wrap around it. Font size. I'm not sure what this is for. Okay, so I got this code from another tutorial from the NetTuts website. So you just put it after pseudo element, and this should work, I think. So yeah, the children are here, and this weird flickering is happening because I used border on the hover. Instead of border, if you use outline, it's not going to affect the size of the element, the box model. So okay, now that, for example, that doesn't flicker anymore. Um, so that's it. Now we can go ahead and upload more files. Just keep going, and it's going to add them. Um, and of course, you can add pagination because this is going to keep growing, and um, you can do all kinds of error checking and things like that. But I hope you learned about the file uploads and image manipulation a little bit, and then you can start utilizing them. So see you next time. Bye.